This is Tim Underhay, founder of Kensington Technology Associates. At Kensington, we firmly believe that digital security is a matter for everyone in the organization, both executives and SOC analysts alike. We believe in making digital investigations more human-friendly and have designed a product that sits atop existing NetWitness installations to achieve this end. This is an informal technical walkthrough of our new product, Atomic Fishbowl. Some of you may find our product familiar, as we took our inspiration from the old NetWitness Visualize. Nothing in this video should be taken as a slight at Visualize. We love Visualize. We've just taken the concept considerably further. So as you can see here on the screen, we've got Atomic Fishbowl running, and we're going to log in. The default credentials are admin and Ken Tech 0. Before we get into the meat of the product, I'm going to go and configure one particular setting. If we click on this gear icon up in the corner, it brings us into Preferences. I'm going to configure the NetWitness UI URL. I've got that in my drop down there, and I'll click OK, and we'll go back to that screen in a little while. We are in the product now. There are no collections configured. There's no data in the system right now. So let's go ahead and create our first collection, which we can do by clicking on the Create Your First Collection link up in the corner. That brings up this dialog box. In here, you can see that there are a number of different options. The first and most relevant one here is the type. So we're going to go with the default of rolling, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And before we can pull any data into the system, we need to add a NetWitness service to it. So let's click the Add button here. Choose that host, username admin. Give it a port. We use the REST API to connect into NetWitness. We use SSL. And the investigation device ID, which I believe in this case is 6. If not, we can go back and update it. Now, before we save this service, we notice here we've got a test button. So let's go ahead and click that and make sure that our settings here are correct. Connection was successful. Brilliant. So now we can click Save, and there is our service. So let's go ahead and choose a use case. We package the product with several out-of-the-box use cases, and over time we'll be refining these and adding to them as well. This is just the beginning here. So we'll choose the first relevant one here, which is outbound documents. That's what I'll call this collection. Outbound documents rolling. And we'll leave all the others at their defaults for now. And we'll click Execute.
Oh dear, there's nothing here. Whatever shall we do? Oh wait, there's something now. I just used a rather ham-handed technique to demonstrate the first major way in which Atomic Fishbowl differs from the original Visualize, other than the fact that we don't require any browser plugins like, say, Silverlight. This difference is called rolling collections. With rolling collections, Atomic Fishbowl will query NetWitness for new data every minute, giving the viewer a near real-time view of what's passing through their network. So the next big difference is the fact that we display this information in tiles rather than the pan-zoom view of the original. We still actually have a pan-zoom view, but it's more of an Easter egg for the older users of Visualize and not really a serious mode for forensics. So using these tiles here, we can see that we are presenting context with every tile. We are providing the date of the session, the NetWitness session ID, the source IP, destination IP, destination port, and the service type. And over here we've got a little icon which gives us an idea of what this is, which is in this case a PDF. And you see that the different document types here all have different outlines. So red is for PDF, blue is for Word document, green is for Excel, and there's also orange for PowerPoint, which is not in this particular collection. So we also have some controls on the screen. The first is we have a full screen control. If we click on this, and this little conversation box here, if you click on this, will actually hide the meta below the session. So if you're looking a lot of tiles and you don't really want to see the meta, you can just click that and they will go away. Now that also brings me to the meta. So down below here we have different meta that is loaded from the NetWitness session. Here we have alias.host, we've got the AD user, computer and domain name, also the destination country. And we can add and remove these keys from here by going into the system preferences. And here under masonry meta keys, we can simply remove or add a value. And this is basically just a CSV format here. So you can give it the actual key name and then give it a friendly name if you want to use one. And then click OK. And that key will be added or it will disappear. So let me just add that back in, destination country, OK, and there it is. Now if we click on one of these documents here, we can get an expanded view of what is in this document. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, all you see here is the first page of a given document, which in many cases will allow someone looking at a document to make a split-second decision about whether it's interesting or not. If you need more information, you simply click on a document and the document is rendered for you. Over here you have a meta view. These are summarized meta keys that we've chosen. They're in the global preferences here under summary meta keys. You can change these if you like. Go back into that. You'll see here there's this little eyeball. If you want additional meta or all the meta, you just click on that eyeball and it shows all the meta from that particular session. Also, you'll notice some of these meta values on the right are highlighted. If we click on that, that indicates that is a multi-value meta key. So there are more than one value there for the session, so you can expand that. Also, we have this little bullseye button here. This button will open the session inside of the NetWitness UI, and that is what you configured in the global preferences here under the NetWitness UI URL. Just click on another one of these. This is a blueprint of some sort. Architectural blueprint. We can make it bigger, we can make it smaller, and we can even rotate the document if you care to do that. So also in our grid view here, we have a few controls at the top of the screen. Actually, we'll start here with the statistics. So we can see that this is a rolling collection. And if we hover over this little info icon here, we can see a little bit more about this collection. We can see what the NetWitness query string was. We can see the service, the types of content that are chosen for this collection, etc. We can see that this collection is querying for the last hour of data. And by the way, concerning that time frame, as I told you before, that Atomic Fishbowl is querying for new data and new documents every single minute. What happens when a document becomes older than the configured time frame? So if a time frame is an hour, say, and the document is an hour and 10 minutes old or an hour and 1 minute old, that document will simply be removed from the view. It will just disappear. So the collection is truly rolling through time. If you have need to examine a document that is rolled out of the collection, this is still rather easy. You can either expand the time frame of the collection by editing it, and I can say instead of the last 1 hour, I can say the last 2 hours, or I can create a fixed collection with the same parameters. And we'll come back to the fixed collection soon. So here we just have a summary of the number of different content types that are in this particular collection right now. We can see that there are 7 PDFs and 2 Office documents. And we shall get soon to the hash matches and the dodgy archives in this case, for a total of 9 documents. Over on the right hand side here, we also have some mask buttons. So we can choose to hide our content types in the collection. So we have PDF and Office documents here. If I click this button here, the PDF documents get hidden. And if I click this one here, it's got a W for Word, but it's in fact for all Office documents. If we click on that, those are hidden. Next to that, we've got a little magnifying glass here. And if we click on that, we get a little search bar. So within the search bar, we can actually search for the text that are contained within these documents. So I can see that the first document in the view here has Ixia. So I'm just going to type in Ixia. And it found that document. And this third one here, as I can recall, it was something about sales. It was an internal price list. So I'll type in internal. And there's all the documents containing the keyword internal. So that can be a useful search tool as well. So next, let's demonstrate one of the other use cases here. I'm going to create a new rolling collection. And for use case, we are going to choose date of birth. And you can see here that there's this option here called use case bindings. What this does is it allows us to address the problem of we at Kensington update and improve a particular use case, whether you want to get that update in your collection. So it will show you down below here the parameters of a bound collection, but you can't modify any of them. With bound, anytime you update the product, and if there are any updates to this use case, you'll automatically get them. With unbound, you get the parameters for that use case as they are defined within Atomic Fishbowl today, but if the product gets updated, if there are any changes to it, you won't get those automatically. So the other benefit to that is you can actually modify an unbound collection. So we'll choose bound here and click execute. And this demonstrates that this executed a new collection whilst looking for a regular expression, and it found this document. And lo and behold, it is a list of fictitious people with their dates of birth. Very, very useful for finding specific types of information that may be leaking. Now let's take a look at our options when creating a collection. We'll click the plus sign here. Now you've already seen rolling collections. Next we'll take a look at fixed collections. So I'll tick that button there. A fixed collection is analogous to the old visualized product where you choose a start time and an end time. The net witness query is run on that fixed time frame and documents get pulled in. So within the time selector here for a fixed collection, we have a number of choices, or we can choose a custom time frame. I can go back, say, to yesterday. But in this case, I will choose the last hour. So now we'll give the collection a name. call it fixed documents in archives. Now, the content limit option here, this limits the number of content items that are allowed to be pulled into a collection from each query. For a fixed collection, this limits the total collection size, but for a rolling collection, its purpose is to prevent the processing of a collection from getting behind. Here we have our predefined use cases. Custom means bring your own use case. You can fill in all the details yourself. We'll choose outbound for a second here. This is what you've already seen before. This displays documents which were being transferred outbound. And these outbound is defined by the NetWitness passes and app rules. We've also got some PII, personally identifiable information use cases in here. So we have social security numbers. Now if I choose that, notice that a box has appeared and expanded down here called regex distill. Now what this means is that we can actually look inside of the documents as we are querying for certain terms. In this case, if we click text distill, this will look for specific keywords within the document, or we can look for matches upon regular expressions. And this very simple regular expression here matches a US Social Security number. Only documents that match this regex will actually be pulled into the collection. So let's choose a different use case now. All content contained in archives. We can see in the query here not only can we find raw PDFs and Office documents within sessions, we can also extract those types of content from archives, both zip and RAR or RAR archives. We can see in the query here that the file type it's looking for is zip or RAR, and there's another exclusionary clause to this query that tells it not to pull in Office 2007 documents. This is because Office documents, for those who don't know, are in fact zip files. You can rename a docx file to .zip and open it in WinZip and see a number of different XML files inside of that document. So they actually get detected by NetWitness's forensic fingerprint parsers as both zip files and Office 2007 documents. So in this particular instance, in this particular use case, we're not interested in pulling in the raw Office 2007 documents, but we are interested in those documents if they're inside an archive. Now notice here we have a selector for the particular types of content that we want to be pulled into the collection. Here in the query string we're identifying the types of sessions we want to extract from, but here we are actually saying which types of content do we want in the collection from the queried data. So here we've pre-selected as part of the use case PDFs, Office documents, and images. I'm just going to go ahead and deselect images. But before I do that, notice here that there are minimum dimensions. If you have chosen images as one of your content types, the image will have to be at least these dimensions, width by height, in order to be pulled into the collection. Also a note on the parsers here, as I mentioned briefly before, we're actually using the forensic fingerprint parsers, the meta generated by them, to pull documents in from NetWitness. We're not going by file extension, which is a bit haphazard and is almost guaranteed to miss things. So it's very critical to have those parsers installed in your deployment. I am now just going to click execute. We've got some results from our execution here. Now we're seeing a bunch of PDF documents that were contained within a zip file or RAR file. And we can see this here in a couple of different ways. One is we've got this little zip icon here, and also down below we can see archive file name. If it came from an archive, it will list the name of the archive here. And if we open it up, we can also see that archive name in this view. So as we can see from the menu bar up here, this is a fixed collection with a fixed start time and a fixed end time. Now, if we want to change something about a fixed collection, perhaps we enter the wrong query or have the wrong content type selected, we can't go back and change this particular fixed collection, but what we can do is reprocess it. So if we click the edit button here, you'll see this changes to reprocess a collection. We can give it a new name, fixed documents in archives 2. Perhaps we'll enable images and click execute. And there we go. And it also pulled in these images. Of course, they're all the same image inside of these zip files and RAR files. Next, let's demonstrate the concept of dodgy archives. So we'll create a rolling collection, give it a name of dodgy archives. We'll choose the use case, dodgy archives. We'll leave it unbound and click execute. And here we are. So what is a dodgy archive? A dodgy archive, simply put, is an encrypted archive. Often people will try to sneak documents through a perimeter, knowing that in an encrypted archive people won't be able to look inside them. Well, sometimes there are legitimate reasons for this, sometimes there are illegitimate reasons. In this case, we can detect when this happens. So even though we can't actually look at the file, we can still see that an encrypted file left the perimeter of your network, and we can tell if it's a zip file. We can look at the file name so we know what the file name was that was encrypted. Now, RARs have two different modes of encryption. One is where the individual files are encrypted, and like a zip, you can see the file names. But a RAR archive can also have an encrypted table where you can't even see the names of the files within them. But either way, you'll know that something was transferred beyond the perimeter of your network and it was encrypted. So armed with that information, you can then go and ask, why was this transferred? Now I'd like to demonstrate our last supported content type, which is matched file hashes. We'll give the collection a name of matched hashes. We shall choose Windows and Mac executables as a query type. We'll leave the use case as custom. We'll deselect dodgy archives and select hashes. Now notice when we select hashes, we get these three options. We can actually search for files within the session or within an archive containing either SHA-1, SHA-256 or MD5 hashes. So all one must do here is paste in the type of hash that you're looking for, and you can optionally do a comma and add a friendly name to the end of it and click execute. And now you can find out when files matching a particular hash value have crossed the perimeter of your network. Now, this particular use case or implementation of this is not fully developed, admittedly. We have plans to make this easier and more dynamic so that you can pull in large amounts of hashes easily and automatically. We're not quite there yet, but that functionality will be coming soon. Now I would like to show you our last type of collection, which is the monitoring collection.
I'm going to create a new collection. I'm just going to call it monitoring. I'm going to choose monitoring as a collection type. Use case, I'm going to just do outbound web usage monitoring. And it's looking for content from sessions where the service is HTTP and the file type is JPEG, GIF or PNG. We're only looking for images here. So now I shall click execute. So here we have documents in the monitoring collection. These are not really documents, these are just images that were in people's HTTP sessions as they were browsing the web. You may have wondered throughout this demonstration what this little button here is. Here we have what we call the auto scroller. So if we click on that, it starts scrolling automatically. Now it's a little bit choppy here. This is mainly because of the screen capture software I'm running, plus the several VMs I have running on this system. In real life, on a more dedicated system, this should not be as choppy. Now notice that the collection there just refreshed. A monitoring collection is similar to a rolling collection, but its purpose is to look at your network traffic in 1 minute snapshots of time to see what is it that your users are doing as they're browsing the internet. Every minute it runs a new query, just like a rolling collection, but the entire view is overwritten in that minute. Now, if there's something that catches your eye and you find interesting, you can click on one of them and it will stop refreshing. And you notice that there's this pause and play button over here. I hit play again, and when the next minute is up, this will refresh. There we go again. But that is a monitoring collection. It's just a snapshot in time. Now the last thing I'd like to demonstrate to you today is our classic grid view. I'm just going to switch back to the outbound documents here. And in the upper left corner of our little control bar here, if we click on that, we can see that there are two options. One is the masonry grid, which is the view you've seen throughout this demo, and this is the classic grid. So we'll click on that. And those who know the old Visualize will be very familiar with this. We can zoom in and out on a document, and we can scroll around. And similar to the old Visualize, we have the meta for that particular session that shows up over here on the right side of the screen. This works better in Firefox. Here, let me start up Firefox. I do hope to improve this so that it works a bit better in Chrome in the future. But you don't get any of the meta overlay in this view that you got in the masonry grid view. So if you like this though, you're free to use it. You can also reset the view with this little home button here, or you can zoom in and zoom out with these buttons as well. Now just a quick note on performance. So unlike the original Visualize, our product is Linux bound. This runs on CentOS 7 Atomic Host. Atomic Host is a version of CentOS. There's also a Red Hat version where the CentOS version originates, which is container-centric. So the entire OS is distributed as a single image, and our application is also delivered in images. This makes it considerably easier to support and to run upgrades. In terms of hardware, our offering is bring your own hardware. We don't offer any appliances. We will say, though, that the application is more CPU bound than anything else. The more cores you have, the better that Atomic Fishbowl will perform. Also, when running queries, keep your query sane, don't be too broad, and try to limit the collection to only things that are interesting and meet your needs. We are in the process of bringing this product to market. What does this mean? This means that we are seeking customers to test. We are seeking approximately 5 customers right now that will engage with us in, you could call it a product beta. We're looking for candid feedback and for customers who are willing to work with us a little bit on addressing any issues which may crop up as they use the product. If you know of any customers, or if you are one of these existing NetWitness customers that would be interested in using this product in your environment, please do contact us. That's all we've got to show you today. We thank you very much indeed for taking the time to watch this extensive demo. We look forward to engaging with you very soon. So long.